has a 2-month-old baby. I was in a major car wreck, and it twisted my spine and caused me years, a lifetime of pain and suffering. And just recently, after 60 years old, they replaced finally my knee and both hips. One more knee to go and a shoulder to go. I'll be bionic. Then around 20, I ended up with cervical cancer, and therefore I cannot have children. And so that spurred me into being kind of a free spirit. And I ended up becoming, moved to Breckenridge, Colorado, managed a ski lodge, then came back to Texas and ended up starting businesses and ended up going to dental school, did not like it, ended up getting my own dental lab through a dentist who liked the way I carved my teeth. And I worked that for a while until I said, I can't do this at 22 years old. So I turned in the keys, and that's when I headed to Breckenridge. And then when I got back, I had a dream that knocked me out of bed at 4 in the morning. And next thing I know, I'm in the garage at 4 in the morning making a product that I ended up filing for a patent and got my first patent in 1986, which I did all the paperwork. And was quite shocked that I got a patent on that. And that project I worked on off and on for 30 years. Got it, the economy went to hell, had to change everything. Everything kept stopping me from my success. Ended up starting a couple other businesses. I was very successful in a couple of my graphic arts and design business. And then I ended up going to Connecticut. I moved to California, then ended up in Connecticut, where I pursued the business further, and then my knee blew out. And that just kind of, as it was becoming successful, the city of Norwalk loved them. It's a lawn and garden product that you just rake and blow all your leaves on it, and you tie it up. It's biodegradable. City loved it. People loved it. Sold thousands until my medical problems shut me down. And then right after the knee surgery, I was trying to get back into it again, and then the hips went. So I've had a lifetime of just constant interruptions to my success. And then, let's see, after that, I ended up coming to Atlanta to visit some friends. And on the way from Atlanta, houseboat kept popping into my mind. And I'm like, houseboat? What? I don't know a thing about houseboats. So I came down and visited. They took me to this lake, Lanier, and I saw the cutest little houseboat for 10 grand, so I bought it, thinking I'll just visit and hang out for a while. And I would go back and forth to Connecticut, and then my relationship of 23 years was starting to grow apart. And so I thought, I'll hang on to this little boat, and then I'd come down, because they traveled all the time. I was alone a lot. So I came down and decided it was time for a bigger boat. So I bought a bigger houseboat. And I'm still like, what am I doing? Why am I even in Georgia? So then the next thing I know, I'm up in Connecticut, and my partner comes home and says, from Italy, and says, it's over. And I said, after 23 years, you're just going to come home and say it's over? And I said, okay, fine. So I packed up, and next thing I know, I'm living on a boat in Lake Lanier in Georgia, but I bought a bigger boat. So I'm sitting there trying to absorb all this loss and changes in my life. And these writings of my mother's I had been carrying in a trunk for 30 years to 4 different states, and they was all in storage. So I'm up on top of, I'm up on top of my boat, and all of a sudden this voice out of nowhere says, go get the trunk. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking around and there's nobody around me. So I stop what I'm doing, I get in my car, I go to my storage, and I drag the trunk over to my boat, and it sits there for a week. And I'm up on top of my boat again, and that same voice said, now open the trunk and start typing. I didn't even question it. It's like, okay, I gotcha. So I went, got the trunk, opened it up and just grabbed a handful, and I've been typing for 3 years. And then the minute I finished that last page, it said, now send it to Christian Faith Publishing. So I did, thinking, okay, whatever you say, not thinking anything would happen. And 10 days later, they called me and said, congratulations, we want to publish your book, and it's possibly, they're looking at it for a possible movie. So of course, I'm like, really? Okay, this just is perfect. And sure enough, the book is now published, and here I am wanting to promote the book and see what happens next in my life.